Welcome back to the Roundrockville Tales YouTube channel. I'm Whatever Trevor, and I've been reading my book, A Roundrockville Tale. And let's just continue on. Chapter 17, The Boat, starting on page 105. The next morning, the air was cool, and steam from the new hot spring created a light fog that carried the sour smell of sulfur and minerals. The first rays of the sun played with the fog as it crept into the center courtyard. Small beads of dew formed on the masonry work. Even before Lumpy or Pebbles walked into the center courtyard, a couple rocks were up with the sun's first beams. In the center courtyard, Stoney was painting placards and posters. Sylvia stood ready with a pile of flyers. They occasionally glared at each other, the embers of last night's argument still burning. Pebbles twirled in the fog, creating swirls in the first sunlight. "Where does fog come from?" Seeing Stoney and Sylvia preparing to solicit votes distracted Lumpy. "This is my fault. There has to be a solution that doesn't divide them. I've got to find a better way." Pebbles nudged Lumpy. "Lumpy?" "Sorry, Pebbles. What's that?" Pebbles spun around Lumpy. "Fog. Where does it come from?" "Fog is just water droplets dancing in the air, just like you are." Lumpy did a twirl around, hands out, head back. "So," Pebbles thought for a second, "I'm dancing with water?" She spun faster and smiled wider. Lumpy kept twirling. "Yes, we are dancing with the water." Pebbles stopped. "Why does the dancing water stink?" "Well, Pebbles, that's an excellent question with a long answer." Lumpy thought about how to explain it. "Yesterday, hot water from underground formed a hot spring pool. The water releases a smelly gas." Prepared to explain further, Lumpy watched Pebbles as she figured it out. Pebbles giggled, spun around, and looked at Lumpy. "The dancing water is farting." She laughed some more. Lumpy couldn't help but laugh. The mind of a child. "Well, kind of. Yes." Lumpy bent over real close. "Can I tell you a secret? Sometimes I fart when I dance too." Pebbles laughed hard, bending forward, holding her belly, then danced away. She chased the stinky fog and filled the center courtyard with her laughter. After breakfast, the center courtyard began to fill up. The sounds of chit-chat and minor arguments replaced Pebbles' laughter. Slate and Roundy arrived together, but separated upon entering the courtyard. The rocks rolled into the courtyard, each seemingly choosing a side. The division was visibly equal. Stoney began protesting. He chanted, "Freedom! Freedom! Freedom!" with a poster on a stick that said, "Freedom can't be fenced." On the back it read, "Tear down the fence, restore our freedom." He prepared several other placards that read, "Free your mind, free the town. Freedom for Roundrockville. You can't fence freedom." Stoney considered himself a pacifist, but when he thought he was right, he was willing to fight. "Why, People don't get it. It seems simple to me. We don't need the fence, man. We have to open up to the possibilities of the world outside our fence. He used non-violent methods, but could be quite persistent and forceful. Freedom! 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 On the other side of the center courtyard, Sylvia shook her head at Stoney, thinking, "We need to fix that fence. I can't even believe this is an issue. If it wasn't for that no-good hippie." She smiled and handed out flyers that read, "The glass fence keeps us safe. It is our security. Beautifully constructed, the glass fence is a part of our heritage. It is a historical monument. Please vote to save our fence, our security, and our heritage." Sylvia was known for her persuasiveness. She could be extremely charming and was always willing to trade favors. Roundy, Crystal, and Delilah picked up Stoney's placards, joining him in protest. "You can't fence freedom!" Roxilla, Brick, and Rocky joined them. "Freedom can't be fenced!" Slate, Sapphire, and Barbara, each with a pile of flyers, accompanied Sylvia to recruit Sphere, Grant, and Grace. Bold, Esmeralda, Pebbles, Rockstone, Samuel, and Reggie remained neutral. The mayor, Sir Reginald Roundbottom II, slid behind the podium and banged his gavel to quiet the courtyard. Noise levels decreased slowly. Bang, bang, bang. The gavel made its point, and the crowd fell silent. "Thank you. Looks like most of you know what this is about. The issue on the table is whether to fix the glass fence, yay, or tear the fence down, nay." The mayor looked over the faces in the crowd. He didn't have a clear opinion on the fence. "There's no denying the fence provided a sense of security, though it is unnecessary. Tearing it down will cost time and resources." Reginald weighed both sides, as any good politician should. The crowd's noise began to grow. A knock of the gavel, bang, put an end to that. "As usual, you will each get the opportunity to speak your mind. Please keep your time short and avoid repeating things people have already said. After everybody who wishes to speak has spoken, we will recess for lunch, and I will prepare a final summation. After lunch and the final summation, we will vote whether to fix the fence or remove the fence." Stoney and Sylvia had already started forming a line. The mayor looked past them. "I think it would be appropriate to start with a statement from the genius behind the glass fence, Slate Slanders. Slate, do you want to come up here and get us started?" Slate walked to the podium, his mind still clouded with the blur of the past day. "Good diddly morning, good rocks. You might remember me from last night." The awkward joke and sleepy delivery got a couple of giggles from the crowd. "It's a true pleasure to be here this morning with you." Slate adjusted his glasses and looked over the crowd. The whole town was present and listening attentively. "I think you all diddly know my stance regarding the beautiful glass fence. That fence is my greatest work. All the materials, every piece of glass, carefully considered by me." Slate looked for Bold and Roundy. "I assisted Bold and Roundy in every aspect of the fence's construction. That fence contains our blood, sweat, and tears. Personally, parts of my heart and soul are in that fence." Sniffle. Slate's eyes began to water. Oh, diddly damn, here comes the waterworks. Slate wrapped it up. Please don't tear down my fence. Slate lowered his chin to his chest and put his hands over his eyes. After yesterday's accident, Slate's public display of emotion was understandable. By the sounds of the applause, it looked like the fence was going to stay up. Slate's short, emotional plea convinced Reginald and enough others to vote yay to keep the fence. You got my vote, Slate. Reginald placed a hand on Slate's shoulder. Thank you, Slate. Stoney rolled up beside the podium, looked at Slate, and took a deep breath. Stoney had prepared a speech, but now he wasn't sure what to say. He slid behind the podium. Slate, I feel you, dude. Several rocks had gathered around Slate to comfort him. Small groups formed, and discussions divided the attention. Reginald reached in beside Stoney and put the gavel to use. Bang, bang, bang. He raised his voice. Please, please, let Stoney speak. The groups dispersed, the crowd fell quiet, and the attention returned to Stoney. All right, dudes, I will keep this quick. His voice lacked the passion and assertiveness of his earlier protest. When Lumpy returned, we could no longer deny there's a larger world outside that fence. Personally, I would like to be part of that larger world, and I can no longer stay confined by the fence. I don't want to tear down Slate's beautiful glass fence, but I want my freedom. Stoney hesitated and shook his head. Thanks, dudes. Peace out. Stoney rolled somewhat somberly away from the podium. The crowd had a similar, somber, uncertain energy as rocks once again began to murmur and speak among themselves. Lumpy watched all of this from his unique outsider's perspective. He was just getting to know these rocks, but he was one of them. Roundrockville was the only home he ever knew. I have to do something. Roundrockville's division can't be because of me. Holding Roundrockville in his heart, a solution came to him. Lumpy pushed past Sylvia. Excuse me, Sylvia. Do you mind if I go next? I have an idea. Lumpy was excitedly behind the podium before Sylvia could answer the question. Sylvia watched Lumpy cut in front of her. Oh, great. Mr. Limestone has something to say. Even after rescuing Slate, Sylvia was holding on to her mistrust of Lumpy. Sylvia's heart was too busy aching for Slate. Oh, dear Slate, we'll save your fence. For the first time in her life, she didn't want to speak. Remaining at Slate's side was preferable. Lumpy had a big smile on his face that contradicted the crowd's energy. He excitedly picked up the gavel. Bang! 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 The crowd was just as surprised by Lumpy's smile as by his banging. Sorry, I always wanted to do that. Lumpy wasn't shy and brought a new energy to the meeting. I know I'm new here, but I hope it's okay if I speak. The crowd looked to the mayor, and Lumpy followed their gaze, looking over his shoulder. Reginald had entirely accepted Lumpy as a part of their community. Yes, please, continue, my good rock. Well, it occurred to me that the fence isn't the only problem. I'm sure you all noticed the air smells different this morning. Lumpy paused as the suggestion prompted sniffing and snorting. The crowd made a collective "Ooh." Pebbles' little voice broke the pause. Don't worry about that smell. Lumpy farted when we were dancing this morning. The innocent, naive delivery was perfect. The crowd looked toward Pebbles and laughed. Lumpy blushed. Yes, Pebbles. I did indeed fart when we were dancing this morning. But that was supposed to be a secret. Lumpy waited for the giggles to settle. That smell is Roundrockville's newest hot spring. The smell will diminish as the pool settles and the sunlight destroys the bacteria causing the smell. What does that have to do with the fence? A voice inquired from the crowd. Well, the gap which allowed me through the fence was caused by a sinkhole, which eroded into the pit that created the hot spring. If we keep the gap in the fence, build a bridge over the hot spring, and put a lockable gate, then Roundrockville will be secure. Rocks can freely come and go as they please, and we keep the beautiful fence. The gate, bridge, and hot spring will further enhance the beauty of the glass shard fence. The crowd was silent for a moment as pictures formed in their minds. Then, yeah, brilliant. Cheers. Yes, that's a good idea. Lumpy stepped away from the podium. Sylvia was waiting. She reached out and grabbed Lumpy's hand, placing her other hand on top, a sincere gesture. Lumpy, I may need to apologize for mistrusting you. That is a solid idea, and you are a solid rock. Lumpy was a little surprised. Wow, she does have a heart. Thank you for saying that, Sylvia. It means a lot to me. Sylvia made eye contact with a softness Lumpy had never seen. Thank you for saving Slate's fence. I am forever grateful. Lumpy was extremely surprised when Sylvia reached out and hugged him. You're welcome, Sylvia. Sylvia turned and embraced Slate with a hug. Slate looked over her shoulder at Lumpy. Thanks, Lumps. Lumpy showed humility, waved his hand, and bowed his head to Slate. He walked through the crowd receiving compliments and pats on the back. Reginald stepped behind the podium. Well, that is an excellent idea indeed. Would anybody else like to speak? The crowd was speaking among themselves, but nobody was stepping up. Reginald banged the gavel. Bang, bang. Maybe we should take a recess, consider a bridge, and come back for a vote. Roundy didn't need the podium. Nah, forget the vote. Let's just build the bridge like Lumpy said. The crowd erupted in support. Yeah. Any opposed to building a bridge? Roundy had taken over the meeting. There was silence from the residents of Roundrockville. The yeas have it, eh? Slate, you better get busy designing a bridge. Thank you. We'll see you next week for Chapter 18, The Bridge. Have a wonderful day.